So where the head goes, the body's following, right? If he can turn his head into me, he can probably turn his body into me. Therefore, I have a problem, right? So if I can get his head turned away here, and if I can monitor that knife, right, he's gonna have a much harder time turning back into me and getting that knife back towards me. So what wedge 2 would be, it's like wedge 1 is like below, right? Filling in this nice wedge below his armpit and his hips, ribs, all that sort of stuff. Wedge 2 is going to be above the arm and filling in the space where his like trap, shoulder, and head and stuff are. Okay, so like how I'm going to do that and like what I'm going to use to do that. I'm going to keep, you know, my grips on the knife for sure, right? I have this elongation almost like just straight off of his body this way, and I have everything stacked nicely. Now I'm going to start using my hips to really start like smashing his face, and this is where it gets awesome. So, so like I'm going to use this near side hip. Okay. Jiu-jitsu, like they'll have you guys do like run through and turn your hips open and use the far side hip and all this like huge like Casey Gatami stuff. It's great in jiu-jitsu, but like this, we're keeping our hips square to the mat, keeping our dick in the dirt, all that stuff. And this first hip is going to take over, right? We'll get to the back hip in a sec. Like I'm here, right? And I have this pressure here. I think about kind of like sundialing it a little bit, you know, kind of this way. And again, that opens up space for my hips to kind of run up and drop this iliac crest directly like on his temple, jaw, cheekbone, right? All of his like pointy protrusions on his face versus my pointy protrusion in my hip, just fucking dropping it over, right? So where the head goes, the body's following, right? If he can turn his head into me, he can probably turn his body into me. Therefore, I have a problem, right? So if I can get his head turned away here, and if I can monitor that knife, right, he's gonna have a much harder time turning back into me and getting that knife back towards me and ultimately into me, right? So we're just gonna play in this position, right? So you can actually feel like what's going on, and I'll gladly come around and do it to you if you need me to.
He's the worst.
Feel the authentic pressure. But again, it's like that iliac crest drops onto that face. So again, there's really no lapse in pressure. It's active toe, active toe, active toe, face, 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 right? I'm not like dropping and rolling. It's slightly different. So here, again, same pressure, active toes, knees up just a little bit. He's having a rough day, right? Very subtle, very small, but huge effectiveness with that hip.
It's a lot of fun.
Yep, learning to pin is, you know, a lot of it's like learning to use different parts of your body to control different parts of their body. So they're like, what the fuck, you know, and isolated in very uncomfortable ways. It's a really good way to kind of demonstrate that. Okay, so use that iliac crest, level off their face, make them look away from you in wedge 2.
What's that knee?
So this one will be like, sometimes it'll be like tight up next to his elbow. Sometimes I'll need to be like dropping my iliac crest on this side too.
Yeah.
Right, so I'll have almost like a sprawl motion, right, or at least just hip pressure down, right? So here, and then you'll see in a sec, you know, when we're transitioning into a different position that this hip will take over, right? But we'll get there in a sec. Okay, let's do that. Nice clap.